Dystopia Tonight. Dystopia Tonight.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thank you so much. Wow.
How are you?
Dragging all of this down to my level now. Thank you.
What's going on, man?
Didn't you go on the TV show we did back in the day?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was way back.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. You know, just enjoying New York City where nobody's wearing a mask anymore. And I can't tell the empathetic people from the sociopaths. That's what it is right now. For a year, you could tell who was a monster and who actually cared about the lives of other Americans. But now, mask mandates are lifted, and that means I can't tell the people who believe the government from the people who don't believe the government anymore. They're all blended into one now.
We need some other way to do it, man. We need to start wearing our own little vaccination patches, or have some kind of hand signal or something going on where we can easily detect the douchebags from the regular people.
I mean, well, they tried that with an AIDS ribbon once, and it sort of backfired after a while. So yeah, I mean,
it did, man.
Claiming I care about other people apparently is a sign of weakness in America. So I'm with you. But yeah, I want to apologize for my hair. This is my pandemic mullet. This is it's awful. I look like a goth country singer, and I just want to apologize. I look like every Air Supply album came to life and became a person. That's what this hair looks like. I look like Beethoven fucked Loki. That's my hair. Nick Cave and K.D. Lang had a child in the 90s, and it's me. I look like John Wick during a Moroccan oil shortage. This is my pandemic mullet. This is like the really douchey TA at Slytherin House. That's this. Like the 90s CBS LA cop drama on a Saturday night. That cop with rickets. That's the hair that I have here.
It does kind of look like
this is all I do.
Whenever we're both on screen at the same time, I feel like it does like we're dueling necromancers. Like,
I'm not into dead people, man. No, your kink is your business, okay?
I know. If you had, I have the beard, and I keep comparing myself to the dude who gave Jenny AIDS in Forrest Gump.
Oh,
like if I wear the green army jacket, right in there.
I don't even remember that guy from the film. I'm sorry. I took a whole course in it and everything, but I don't remember the guy who gave Jenny AIDS. I know they didn't call it AIDS because they were tasteful, but I know. No, I always think you look like Jesus. And I want to tell everyone, John Poveromo is many good things. He cares about people. He is not Jesus. The only thing John Poveromo has in common with Jesus is that religious hypocrites hate him. And he, like Jesus, would never wear a man bun. That's it. Those two things. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons to admire Jesus, but he would never do that shit. And neither would you.
No. Yeah, yes. And you're absolutely right. And I've been asked a million times to do it, and I'm like, I will not do it. I will not go that route.
There's enough yoga pimps, clogging up our eyeballs in this culture. And ladies need to understand the ever-present peril that is the yoga pimp. Okay, yes. He's out there. He wants the same thing every other guys want, but he knows how to be very new age, knows how to be very namaste nasty. And it's a lot of like, no, listen, I think it's great. You really did some good work on your positions this week. And by the way, it's just an honor because like I wish I could experience childbirth. Don't trust those fucking guys. They're out there. It's not a horny thing. I want to be as close to you as I possibly can. Yoga pimps, watch out, ladies. They're there.
I love the PSA. I don't even know how that was beautiful. That's gonna be brought. That's what we're gonna change the intro to now. It's just Fugelsang warning us about those pimps. I want to compliment you real quick. I'm gonna compliment you through the whole thing because I love that I get to know. Like when I was younger, man, I wasn't a big. Like, I don't know, I grew up Catholic and everything like that, right? But as you get older or whatever, you kind of fall out of the traditional Catholic sense of things, whatever. You were the first comedian who was I feel like you have a very rational approach to faith, right? And I
Yes.
did not.
I
You
don't
do.
defend its certainty.
Yes, and you don't, and you fucking call it out all the time. And when I was, I mean, I have like, this is gonna sound creepy, and I'm gonna try to make it not to, but if it is, whatever. I have screenshots of like your tweets that are always just constantly right on the money, about, you know, what Jesus said. You're constantly combating other people, and I remember I used to just share them because I was like, this guy fucking gets it. Like, you didn't see too much of that. You didn't see people kind of doing that thing, and then you went on W. Kamau Bell's show. And you were on with Jamie Kilstein, right? Yeah. You guys had the most reasonable conversation.
I know they wanted us to fight, and I was like, Jamie, we need to go out there and actually have a physical fight for laughs, or we need to like go out there and refuse to fight and just get along really well. And he agreed we should go out there and just get along really well because I'm not an atheist, but I believe in them. And some of the best Christians I know are atheists, and some of the most godless heathens I know call themselves believers. So it's like, you know, for me, it's like my definition of faith means it's faith. You know, they say the opposite of faith is doubt. No, doubt is a part of faith. The opposite of faith is certainty. If you know, fundamentalist Mr. Motherfucker, if you know all these things for a fact, then that's not faith. You have something that the Bible doesn't offer and Jesus doesn't talk about. You have absolute certainty. That's what fundamentalists are. That's why you can't negotiate with them. They think they speak for God. And, you know, there's a lot of fun, we'll get to it, but a lot of fun shortcuts you can do in talking with these folks, because most of them haven't actually read the Jesus parts of the Bible. But, and that's where the fun comes in. But, you know, yeah, I don't claim to be a good Christian at all. But I know the New Testament really well. And I reached a point where, like, I just got tired of seeing my parents' religion used as a cloaking device for douchebags. And when you actually read the Jesus parts of the Bible, for the most part, pretty sane guy, most progressive guy in the book, most feminist guy in the book, most anti-poverty guy in the book, healthcare, you know, not anti-gay, didn't mention abortion, never mentioned gay marriage, never said torture's okay sometimes, never fought for tax cuts for the wealthiest Nazarenes, because they're the job creators. No, I think if you ever want to have a good time at your, you know, conservative family reunions, ask any of them which actual teaching of Jesus guided your vote for Donald Trump, or just ask which teaching of Jesus is Donald Trump not the opposite of, or which teaching of Jesus does the Republican Party actively fight for legislatively, because there's a reason they all want to put the 10 Commandments on the courthouse walls. It's because they don't want to put the Sermon on the Mount on the courthouse walls. So my thing is, I would hate it if someone made a fan club to me, but went against everything I believed in. And I don't believe in blaming someone on what their fans do, whether it's Jesus or Jodie Foster. But I just kind of feel like if you're gonna go around saying all this, you know, piety, Jesus, if you read the book, he really teaches you how to call out hypocrites, and anyone claiming to be a Christian but fighting for Donald Trump or any part of his agenda, they get to be called out. Criminalizing abortion has nothing to do with the teachings of Jesus, unless you're a right-wing American Christian, and that's all you know. That's it. So yeah, it was funny. And then I thought what I was going to do was open with that and then get more preachy as the segment goes on, John, if that's okay. I'd like to drain all the humor out of this conversation. And you know, I'm going to be selling gold by the time we're done, just so you know.
That's fine, man. You do whatever you want. You can just take over. I'll just leave. This is your show now. I don't care. That's the thing, man. I love the bit that you have about your parents, how they met. Was that, I mean, obviously that influenced you a lot too, but what made you decide because comics don't, you know, most comedians, I feel like when they dive into religion, they don't technically, they tend to trash it completely. And I feel like you went in it, not even like the opposite direction, but you just took the rational approach. But like, yeah, if you're fucking reading it and if you understand what's going on, here's the basics of it. Like, was that something that you wanted to get clear because of your parents, or was that like more of a personal thing that you made over the time?
Well, it's sort of a combination of factors. A lot of it had to do with when my mom gave me permission finally after years to start talking about their past on stage.
Wow.
My mom growing up didn't want people to know about her life before she married, or my dad's life before they met. They never even told me. I was down south with my grandma one summer, and she was going through shoe boxes of old photos of the family and reunions, and I began noticing my mother in a white habit in all these pictures.
Wow.
And I knew it wasn't the Klan because my mom wasn't like that. She left the South, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And my mom.
How old were you?
Africa. I was 6 when I found out that my mother had become a nun and had made an oath to God that I would never happen. So that's, you know, the gradual existential dread over childhood of realizing what a vow of celibacy is. That was age 11. I realized my parents promised God I wouldn't happen. So technically, because of religion, I get to be here, but I'm not supposed to be here. And it's made me grow up to be someone who's very comfortable with chaos and oppositional forces. But, you know, when Mom finally said I could talk about it, it opened up this real wellspring of religion in me. And yeah, like it's easy to go out and attack the Catholic Church or just make it all cute. And there's a lot of comics who do that really well. I got into actually saying, what if I didn't attack God or didn't attack Jesus, but just went after homophobes, because you can't really be a homophobe and follow Jesus. Most people don't know this. Most people grow up with the Jerry Falwells on their TV saying being a Christian means you're an asshole screaming at women outside clinics, not you fight for the poor, you fight for the sick, and you fight for immigrants and marginalized people and those in prison. So, like, you know, I don't claim to be a Christian at all, but I learned from Jesus how much fun it is to call out douchebag hypocrites. For spiritual reasons, of course. Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say you do it well, man. And that's like that's awesome though. I didn't realize that you didn't know that until you were 6. Did they try to keep it a secret because they were like embarrassed by it, ashamed by it, or they just didn't want to talk about it?
I don't think they wanted the world knowing it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's and what was the impetus for her to let you do it on stage after that? Was it like
I was going on Bill Maher, you know, and I was going on his show a lot, and once they finally let me start talking about it, it opened up a lot of me creatively. And then soon, like, Bill Maher had me on debating Jerry Falwell when I was in my 20s and debating David Duke. And I'm just a clown, but, like, you know, I'm calling these guys out over what's actually in the Bible. You know, I mean, Jerry Falwell, you know, is bragging how he's so pro-life, and I'm like, well, you support the death penalty, which Jesus actually opposed, so you're pro some life. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, I just never heard anyone with my point of view express it. There's theologians who do this, but they're academic and they're not funny. And, you know, most comics just make Catholic jokes. And I wanted to actually, you know, I mean, I got picketed by Westboro Baptist Church once in Kansas City, and it was like, wow, better than a daytime Emmy, John. So, you know, it was fun.
That's incredible. I do remember seeing you on Politically Incorrect a lot when there was a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have been watching when I was younger, but I'm glad I did because my parents just let me do kind of whatever. But I mean, like, Politically Correct or something.
John. Am I that much older than you, John?
No. You're not that. But I mean, like, I think when everybody was kind of watching, you know, cartoons or whatever, what it was, I was very much like, oh, what's going on Politically Incorrect? Whatever.
My dad was a history teacher, and I sucked at sports, so I had to do this to earn his love. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's good. So I got really into politics and history at a young age, and you know, we were the only kids on the block who went to church every Sunday and every holy day. And we were the only kids in the block whose parents voted against Reagan. And as a kid, that seemed really weird. And when I got older and actually read the New Testament, I realized, oh no, that was actually pretty consistent when you think about it. So, you know, I like to make fun of a lot of stuff, but like the religion stuff, I get asked to talk about a lot because, you know, they say the largest growing religious group in this country are Mormons. I think it's the largest growing group of people who were raised religious and now consider themselves spiritual, because they're turned off to the hypocrisy of celibate men wearing dresses or what have you. So, you know.
Do you find that kind of thing? It seems like people, it's weird, man, because I watch all that kind of stuff and I'm like, you know, you pick up on patterns or whatever, and being on social media, it seems like people have abandoned a religion. I don't even, you know, to a certain extent, but they've picked up on other things. There's a bunch of people, like, I don't know if you're I don't like TikTok that much, but I'm not kidding when I say there's a large faction of people on those or that believe in crystals or some kind of healing or whatever, but they are adamant about their atheism towards any kind of religion and shit like that. But it's weird because to me it seems very similar or almost even in like a bizarre way. I'm like, you're still dogmatic about something. Like, you still,
I mean, people will find whatever as dogmatic or as least dogmatic as they want. I mean, a lot of people, you know, I think even if you got rid of religion, people would still have a spiritual yearning. I think people are always going to be in love with the great mystery in ways that science and poetry can't answer adequately. And so, you know, and I'm not anti-religion at all. I mean,
No.
for all the horrors inflicted on the world because of religion, we will never know how many crimes and rapes and murders weren't committed because people were terrified of going to hell. You know, like,
Right.
you know, religion played a big role in civilizing, for better or worse, this species. But has it outlived its usefulness? I don't know. But I think people are always going to have some kind of spiritual yearning. And that's why I'm here to talk to your followers about the Church of Scientology and how Dianetics can really help you unlock the true you that's locked away in that mediocre vessel you're calling a body. We have the answers. We do, really. And we're not religion, just for tax purposes. Please join us. Oh, you'll get a beard wife and a pilot license. Come on.
Oh, that's fantastic. And a bottle of shampoo, right? Because that's where the evil spirits are or something, I think.
Is that a Scientology thing? I don't know.
Isn't it something about I swear to God there was something about shampoo. I'm not even kidding. I think where maybe they were selling it. I don't really know.
You know, for me,
at one point
I just get off. I get angry at like how the media pushes this bullshit in our culture because, you know, last week we saw the Biden administration and Merrick Garland, Justice Department, say they are going to enforce this Donald Trump law that allows private religious schools to discriminate against LGBT children. Now, I get that Biden doesn't want to seem punitive and anti-Trump. I get that they are waiting for the DA of New York and NYC to do their jobs. But like they said, they did this to protect the office of the presidency. They're going to maintain this Trump era law because it's still the law. Yeah, it can be changed by executive order. But my whole issue in the media was, what the hell does discriminating against gay kids have to do with the religion of Christianity? No, really. Show me in the book where Mr. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, where he says to be shitty to the trans kids. Show me in the book. Right. You know, show me in the book where Jesus says that incarcerating women for terminating pregnancies is a thing he cares about, or you can't let gay people marry. Like this stuff that passes for spirituality. I mean, I love the part where Jesus chases all the gay wedding cakes out of the temple, didn't you? Like the media doesn't call this out. The media just assumes, you know, there's two sides, atheists and imbeciles. And the media allows these people to say the Christian point of view. And I'm like, well, it's not the point of view of the guy the religion's named after. So why are you letting the fan club take over? You know? Yeah. The media stopped. We've talked about this in numerous amounts of times, but the media did kind of stop trying to find the answer and just constantly opposes two points of view, which is insane. Because it'd be like if the weather guy, you know, if he was like, hey, this guy says it's raining and that guy says it isn't. It's like, well, look out the fucking window and could you tell me the truth? Like, it's not two opposing points of view. It's one of them is right and let's figure it out. Well, yeah, I think the only bias in media is towards profit. That's it. I mean, it's eyeballs, it's clicks, it's ratings. You know, if Sean Hannity could get incredible numbers for endorsing single payer, he'd be doing it tomorrow. Like that's it. So I'm not surprised. It's not the media's job for the most part to inform people, but I just, you know, I grew up around religious people who weren't douchebags. Some of them were, a lot of them were, but like I grew up seeing real empathetic people who were anti-bigotry and were activists and who did real work of conscience. And so I'm not against religion. I mean, I'm just a big fan of calling out hypocrites. Jesus showed me the way. Yeah. And also, like, whatever, I mean, I try not to shit on anything that comforts anybody. The only time I have a problem with is probably the same time you do too, is when it's used in any way. When any kind of magic is used to make decisions for other people's lives, that's when I'm like, stop. You know what I mean? Like, it gets a little frustrating. But again, the magic is irrelevant. Like, I mean, imagine you're Jesus and you got to go out and do a gig in front of 2,000 people. And imagine his manager, Jesus, you got to go out there and these fucking people have come to see the miracles, okay? They don't want to hear you talk about forgive your enemies. No one wants to forgive your fucking enemies, Jesus. They don't want to love the stranger. They don't want to give away all their belongings and help the poor and sick, okay? You do that, and you know what? You'll have a really great show, and it'll be on fucking NPR, and 3 people will listen will be really proud of it, Jesus, okay? They want to see some blind people see again. They want to watch you heal a fucking leper. Do you want to have return audience? Do you want to build a brand, Jesus? Come on. Oh, shit. So now I feel like we're going to call this segment. We might do one every week now, because it's going to be, how am I wrong? Because I feel like I've asked a couple people this is kind of relevant, and we were talking about performative shit, which is the same thing. Biden's doing that thing to the schools or whatever, and it's obviously he doesn't want to appear to be, like you said, hating Trump and all that kind of shit or whatever. But the other side of that is I have a problem with the capitalist
for a good cause type of behavior. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Burger King thing that was going on where they're entering a chicken war against Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And I could be just broken from the last 4 years of Trump where I can no longer see a win or the good side of something. But I tweeted this and I got people either hating it or loving it, which is normally how it goes. But a lot of people said I had the wrong take. But I said, you got to love when corporations that deal in high cholesterol and clogged arteries use the plight of the marginalized to wage wars with each other. And then I hashtag go fuck yourselves. Because but let me ask you this. Am I like, because on the one hand, where Biden's doing that thing, it's performative because he doesn't want to appear to be just completely anti-Trump. So he's going in the complete fucking wrong direction. And then you have Burger King, who's a corporation, and they're just trying to get sales, even though they are giving 40 cents, whatever, to the LGBT community, but only for the fucking month. So people were like, hey, man, a win's a win. I'm like, but where the fuck were they the last 4 years? Like corporate, like I'm having a trouble reconciling that kind of shit. And am I having trouble seeing the win here?
In what, John?
In that it's just that they're doing a good thing and we should just allow it to be a good thing. Because I would like more. You know what I mean? I know that they were.
You're making it's not like the old argument. It's not enough to not be a racist. You got to be an anti-racist, right? And I agree. I mean, look, I think it's great that Congress this week decided to have a national holiday for Juneteenth. Boy, that's great. I would have liked it more if Congress had done something about police violence or poverty or the criminal justice system or sentence disparities. I would have loved it if Congress could have lifted a fucking finger about institutionalized racism, how sentencing guidelines are the same for weed as for heroin in some places. I would have loved for the Congress to actually do something about systemic racism, police violence. But you know what? No, they decided, guess what? We're going to give ourselves a day off. How's that? Yeah. So it's like, great. Okay. I'm thrilled to see that, we're celebrating Juneteenth, but what have you actually done? There's a great piece in the Guardian this week about these 25 corporations. And this is a new study that was done by Popular Information. 25 corporations that are advertising their support for the LGBTQ community. And look, I like seeing a Budweiser float when I go to Pride. I remember being a kid in the 90s going to Pride parades in New York City. And, you could actually see the parade. It was like not a big corporate thing. It was a thing you did in your neighborhood. And now when I see a Budweiser float, I'm like, well, that's progress, right? Like when madmen of the 50s began advertising and marketing things to African Americans, that was progress. Like commerce can bring about civil rights progresses because greed can lead to some good things. But like this study was about 25 corporations that are putting rainbow flags on all their branding this month, like CBS, AT&T, Walmart, Comcast. Right. And these are organizations that have 100% ratings from Human Rights Campaign, from the Corporate Equality Index. That measures workplace policies and public commitment to LGBTQ communities. But Human Rights Campaign doesn't take political donations into account. So these corporations in the study, and you should read it, it'll make you furious. All these corporations that have 100% perfect rating with Human Rights Campaign, but they are donating to all these anti-trans legislation politicians in Texas, North Carolina, and Tennessee. CBS is doing that through their political action committee. In Texas, CBS was backing the people who are trying to make it change the child abuse law if you have a trans kid. Like they're incredibly anti-gay across the board in terms of who they give money to. So I think we're talking about the same thing, that like you don't get to call yourself anti-gay and try to market yourself that way during Pride Month, while you are literally funding movements to dehumanize Americans. Yes, that is exactly my point, and that's my frustration, because I understand people want to feel good about something, and people are tired of constantly feeling guilt. That's the thing too. I mean, I do feel like if you're informed, we're more informed than we've ever been before. There's a million different ways to get there. Like, look at Instagram now. I mean, I love the platform, but you can also get the news there too. There's no way to avoid seeing the shitty stuff that's going on, but at the same time, I still feel like sure there is. Oh, well, that's there's about 30 million people don't know Joe Biden's the president, John. There's lots of ways to be ignorant in this country. You're right. Okay, yeah, there's still plenty of ways to be ignorant. But you know what I mean? Like for informed people, it's like I feel like I get it. It's overkill, but at the same time, I'd rather be proud of actual achievements as opposed to just being lazy and being like, hey, they're trying.
And you're just, and like going about my fucking, it's just, that's just me. But I get it, man. People were like, people I guess are exhausted by it. I have like a bit of a post-funk pandemic kind of thing going on. I don't know if you feel like, you know,
really? You feel kind of weird after a year and a half of lockdown with 600,000 Americans dead, and now we're reopening and we're hoping the vaccine is it odd for you? Has this been a aberrational experience in your life, John? Please tell us what it really. Did you find your social life or professional life curtailed in any way, or with shopping challenge? What happened, John?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like,
crazy. We're all so hard
crazy
on ourselves, and we're all so hard on ourselves, and it's madness.
100%.
We've all survived stuff that our grandparents couldn't have imagined dealing with. Mm-hmm. We had a racist rodeo clown and a plague at the same time, right? I mean, a racist rodeo clown is president and a plague at the same time, like
right.
Oh my God. I mean, 5 years ago, the biggest problem facing the world was that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman. I mean, we had no idea what was coming. I think all things considered, and considering we had a president who was lying to us during a pandemic and we only lost 600,000, number one in the world, people, America's back.
Yeah, baby.
I just feel like, everybody needs to take a step back and remember infinite compassion directed to all and to self first. Go easy on yourself. We're all freaked out. John, I'm still not sure how a belt works. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at my hair. I have been locked down for so long. Like, I don't know. I've done this with a child. He was a little boy when it started, and now he's a fucking kid. I went from little boy in March of 2020. Now I got a fucking kid. You know, that's how long it's been. I don't know how to talk to people without mentioning Mario games or Marvel characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not.
So it's like talking to me. This is all prep for talking to me then.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I know it's. I feel like the ones who are supposedly comfortable with all this are because the entire pandemic there were people who were protesting outside of a fucking Fuddruckers to open it back up, which. It's always I'm like, dude, that's been closed for 10 years. Relax. But like,
I know. I get to save money on Van Morrison tickets this year. I'll just say that.
Oh, how were you? I was bummed, man. I don't follow the guys like politics necessarily, but when him and who was the other guy that went out, Van Morrison and yeah, I was like, fucking really? I was like, you gotta. That broke my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen Van Morrison get angry on stage and storm off the stage having a tantrum. And like Brian Kennedy has to vamp for 20 minutes until drunk Van comes back out like a fat deranged monk and finally does Gloria to win the crowd back. And that was less petulant than what he's done so far. It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. I feel like they're like, I don't know what it is, but it's weird because you feel like there's that same kind of, hippie protest energy they had back in the day. And you're like, dude, you're aiming it in the wrong direction. Yeah. Like, I get that you want to do it, but it's the wrong direction. But yeah, there's like those people that did that kind of shit. I feel like the ones who gave the rest of us a hard time about staying in, saying we were cowardice and we liked that, there was nothing going on or whatever. I feel like it's those people who just need to go out. I'm like, how sad is your life that you can't survive without going to a bar, movies, out with friends, getting drunk all the time? I'm like, how much do you hate your family that you couldn't for the safety of everyone around you just stay in for a year? I feel like I think they're the sad ones is what I'm saying. And that's.
I mean, look, I wanted to test how codependent I could be with my partner, and so I'm glad I had this experience. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
When they opened up Wuhan after the first lockdown, the town of Wuhan, they had a record number of divorce petitions right away from married people who'd had to be with their spouses for a long time. Look, it's just the whole thing's been surreal. It's going to take a long time, but we have to remember the worst part of this pandemic, John. It wasn't when we were the peak, and it's not that the rest of the world is suffering so much. The worst part of this pandemic is going to be about 12 to 15 years from now, when all of these children have grown up and are doing terrible one-person shows about being children of the pandemic. We will not be able to go to a comedy festival or a theater festival for a solid 5 years when these petulant little therapy on stage disguised as solo theater. Have you seen my childhood? It's going to be awful. It's going to be, the children of the lockdown. There will be so much bad self-indulgent art made about living through this. And look, I feel terrible for teenagers. My God, if you're 15, 16, 17, you have to be in time with your parents all year, Jesus, you get to do all the things you want, and I encourage it. But you know, I just think the year 2020 will be remembered for its unprecedented use of the word unprecedented.
Absolutely. And I feel like there was no baby. Do you know anybody? Like, I don't think there's going to be a baby boom, but I think, and I'm accused of, I'm one of these people, the amount of people that have podcasts now, the amount of comedians. I know I'm shitting on my own thing. I did it just to keep sane, but everybody else I know also, like, people that I feel like haven't been doing it that long suddenly decided they also needed a podcast. And I'm like, are they ever going to end? Like, at least I have like 15 years in. And then I decided I wanted to talk to people I enjoyed speaking to. And then I feel like the other ones are just like, yeah, I just started comedy this year. And I don't understand why I can't get any guests. And I'm like, who are you? I don't know you. Do you? Are you?
I do a podcast, but I do a radio show every night that people think is a podcast. Like that, a whole new broadcast identity has been imposed on my show, and everyone's like, "Hey, I want to come to your podcast." And I'm like, "You mean my podcast or the Sirius? Oh yeah, the SiriusXM thing." It's like,
oh my god,
yeah, radio as a form has been eaten by the Borg. So, but you know, I mean, podcasts. You know, yeah, there's going to be a lot of them, but that's like any other discipline. It's you know, it's good. I think. Yeah. I don't care, but more people should be expressing themselves and getting their opinions out there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And we'll get some great talkers out of it. We'll get some good artists who come forward out of it all. The funny thing is, like, I have to remember all my podcasts because nobody's commuted for a freaking year and listened to any.
I am, man. Exactly. Are you back in the studio yet or not yet?
No, we're not going to be back until at the earliest September of
wow.
It might change to sooner, but I've been broadcasting from here from the TV room in my apartment for the last 15 months. And
wow,
it's been surreal. I mean, I interviewed Julie Andrews and RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. And wow, I mean, we interviewed, you know, Bernie Sanders and Talib Kweli from my living room. It's just been insane to do it and to never see my staff. But, you know, it's been great. I mean, it's been amazing to be talking to people every night. I mean, when the pandemic first began, we wound up doing so much like pop culture countdown material. I just went to what are the top 10 best action movies of the 90s? You know, what is De Niro's 5 best performances? Like every night we would do a different call-in topic because yes, there's a presidential election and an impeachment and the president's a racist clown and people are dying of the plague. And that was when I learned that like in radio, people would rather talk about their taste than their conviction. We can say, you know, what's the greatest issue facing the middle class and get a few calls, or we'll say, what's the best horror movie of all time? What is the best opening act for a concert you ever saw? And boom, that brings out passion in people. And I think it shows that our commonalities still outweigh our differences.
Absolutely. Well, when I was on, we did, I think it was protest songs. And it was so much fun, man. I have a list because people were calling in had like amazing fucking songs.
Yeah, and I forget what the reason it was like. Because we were gonna have Paul of Peter, Paul and Mary was coming on the show that night.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so we were like, what is the best protest song of all time? And boom, I mean, it just the phones fill up, and that's. You know, that's really comforting. When I moved my show to SiriusXM, the Progress Channel, I just said, look, can we still play any music we want and do all the culture we want to do and not just be angry liberals screaming about socialism and hemp for 3 hours.
Right.
And they said, okay, so you know, it's and that kind of you know, I don't feel bad about binge watching. I mean,
yeah. Oh no, not at all.
You can get your mind off reality without being asleep or on drugs for a few hours. Do it. This is the period in the timeline, people.
Yeah, man. Do you miss your time on VH1 at all? Like, do you miss like just engaging fully in the? No, not at all. Is it just that because you have an amazing appreciation for music, but like a knowledge of it too. Where like I feel like anytime I've been on your show, you're talking about some kind of footnote in music history that's either happened that day, and it's incredible, man. And I feel like I would love to like. What's your best concert? Do you think that you've been to? Because I know you've been to. We talked about I'm jealous that you went to see Dylan. That you've gotten to see Dylan like a couple times, right?
Bob Dylan many times. I mean,
many times. I haven't yet.
Bob Dylan enough times to end a marriage. That's what I.
So, but what is that your best experience at a concert? What's your best experience at a concert?
I mean, I guess my best experience was having George Harrison give his final public performance sitting next to me on a couch on VH1.
Yes,
you know, like
that was fucking epic, man.
I did get to go to the concert for George Harrison a year after his death at the Albert Hall in England, and I was doing this NBC show and I sneaked out of the country over Thanksgiving break to fly to London to see a concert. I blew my entire paycheck from NBC from a sitcom to go to this concert. Wow. And I was at the Dylan show and the Dylan tribute show years ago with Johnny Cash and Lou Reed, but I guess the best if I had to pick one, like just one, I mean, Leonard Cohen. We went to see Leonard Cohen opening night of his return tour in Toronto in 2008, and that was that was one of my highlights as an audience member. Yeah,
that's
I've had a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've never seen Dylan live. I've never seen Leonard Cohen. I've seen Paul McCartney.
You got to see Bob, but just know Bob doesn't care what you want him to sound like. Bob's going to do what you know. And if you can get with what Bob's doing, Bob will take you on quite a sonic ride, but you have to not pretend you're going to understand what the music is. You just have to go and get into it, and he will take you places. I've seen Dylan shows that are just like hundreds of people walking out. In every Dylan show I've ever seen, everyone has had tons of people walking out in the first hour. And the last 20 minutes, the entire audience on their feet for the entire time. And I don't know how he does it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's a shaman. And he's a shaman. But again, not for everybody. Not for everybody. I'm
either going to have to go by myself or drag another Dylan fan with me, because there's no way. I mean, none of my friends are going to give a shit. Like, there's no way they're going to sit through that. And I know it. Like, as you just described to me, they would either hate me. I'd have to pay. I'd have to be like,
John, my wife has been with me to over 20 Dylan shows over the years. But I can tell you, she's not going to go all the time. And, you can have a lot of great times with a lot of amazing women by taking them as your date to Bob Dylan shows.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Good tip.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like I'm a huge Counting Crows fan. I don't know if I feel like that's not something that's ever said openly, because people are like, really? Counting Crows? But I love them or whatever. But I feel like I've gone to their concerts before, and that's the same way people react, is like, I can't sing along. And I'm like, no, he's not gonna do it like he does it on the album, and he's going to add in extra lyrics, and they're going to take a really long time to sing one song, and he's not going to sing your favorite. So, but I enjoy it. So I feel like that's kind of almost how you describe the Dylan thing. We're like, you don't know what you're going to get.
We all have artists we love who become greatest hits touring jukeboxes, and then we have artists who are there to chase something in themselves and try to find something, and that's where the interesting stuff happens. And even in the case of Dylan, like we used to go when we were young to see him, because what'll he sing tonight? It was different set list every night. Now he's been doing the same set list on every tour for like 4 or 5 years, but it's even more amazing because seeing how tight the band is, it's just incredible by doing the same set list every night. And it's like, it's the difference between going to see an artist who's still pushing, who's still searching, who's not afraid to make some mistakes, and going to see someone who's trying to give you a nostalgia experience.
Right. What'd you think of his the one about Kennedy that he came out with over?
I love that record. I think that record's great. Like that's that's a Dylan record that I would recommend to non-Dylan fans. Like Blood on the Tracks and Time Out of Mind. Like there's a few you can say, if you're not a Bob Dylan fan, go with this. And and that song was really amazing just to see, like, he's 79 years old and he totally reinvents himself again. Every time he goes and does one of these weird, he's a born-again Christian. He's a country crooner. Oh, now he's doing Sinatra albums. Oh, 5 Sinatra albums in a row. Okay. And then when it's done, he comes out with something that's a surprise, because he's always a trickster and he's always trying to, he's a shapeshifter, and it doesn't always work. But like, I like the first Sinatra record a lot. I thought that stuff sounded great live. He sang the hell out of it. It was weird in a David Lynch kind of way, but I thought it was great. And then he comes out with this record that, like, you barely hear any bass or electric guitar or drums the entire album, and it's mesmerizing. Yeah, it was phenomenal. I was really impressed by it too, and I was worried. I get worried, like, not worried, but when you're like, it's somebody you really love, your favorite artist, and they're coming out with something new, and you're like, oh, he's gonna fuck it up, and then he didn't, and he knocked it out of the park, and I was just like, thank Christ. But yeah, I can't wait to start going back to concerts and stuff like that. I miss going to music shows and just finding new bands and shit like that too. Because that was another thing. You've been to Asbury Park before just to go to concerts. Yeah. I've never seen a concert there, but I've been there to hang out and Oh, dude, you gotta go. You gotta go to the Stone Pony and see a concert. You should come. I'm not too far from Asbury. Let me tell you what it's like when you choose to reproduce, John. Let me tell you what it's like. Then you have a sexually transmitted parasite living with you, and how that gets prepared. No, I mean, I've never seen a show there, but I've met Springsteen. I've had half the E Street Band on my show.
I know you have, and I'm super jealous of that too. I love because that's Stone Pony, man. It's like that's like the best place to be. And that's one of the things when you go to Asbury, inevitably somebody at any concert, any point in time will go, "Hey, Springsteen's showing up, right?" And you're like, "Where the fuck did you hear that?" No one, he's not. And the worst is, it's like a worst best situation when finally you're like, "Dude, shut the fuck up, he's not coming." And then he does show up, and you feel like an asshole because you're like, "I know he didn't know, but everybody says it." So.
Well, and he really does it too. I mean, I was once at a Dylan show, and Springsteen and Neil Young were sitting to the side at Roseland Ballroom the whole time, and they went on in the end to play guitar for like the last encores. And then I saw Springsteen come on stage at a Joe Grishecki show at Tramps. We knew he was going to do it. I interviewed him earlier that day, but to see Springsteen in a tiny club. And then I saw him come out at a McCartney show at Madison Square Garden. He and Little Steven came out, and they did I Saw Her Standing There, and that was just like insane.
Oh my God.
But it's just like, oh wow, it's sort of like, it's nice to still have really cool special moments as an audience member. I mean, I have that with comedians all the time too, and theater, film, whatever.
Yeah, man. I remember I haven't had too many instances where something like that happened, but I went to see Bare Naked Ladies and Hootie when they did MGM, not MGM. I think that's what they were. I was in the VIP section, which I shouldn't have been, but I was. And Mike Mills, but I couldn't tell if it was him or not, but he was sitting there. But the whole entire time I was like, I think that's fucking Mike Mills. I have no idea or whatever. And then they invited him up on stage, and they had talked about like it was Bare Naked Ladies, Hootie, and Mike Mills, and they were all just jamming together. And I was like, this is the fucking sickest shit. And then like a week later, I was on your show in New York, and you had Mike Mills on, and I was like losing my fucking. I was like, this is crazy. And like I did. We were out in the hallway, and I was leaving, and I was like, dude, I saw you at the Hootie thing like about a week ago. And he's like, oh, I was like, you were great. He was like, thanks. And then he went in and talked to you, and then that was about it, because I think we were like ships passing in the night. But that blew my fucking mind, dude. I was like, everybody. It's just insane to me.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's nice when you meet some. I mean, I had the experience of meeting rock stars who were just absolute dicks, and it's kind of crushing. So but I mean, whatever. It's interesting to actually get to meet them and have it be a positive experience once in a while.
Yeah. It's the same way with comedy though too, man. I mean, I remember. Do you have any like? There's a couple experiences I've had with comedians that I was like super eager to meet when I was younger or whatever, and I remember getting like locked out of a few green rooms where they were like, he doesn't like to speak to any, and I'm like, but I was performing on the show. I'm like, really? I can't go sit down or nothing. And they're like, no, I won't say who it is on air, but I'll tell you later. But yeah, I was like,
I gotta get everyone preps their own way, Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I didn't take too much of offense to it, but I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping to, whatever. But what are you gonna do?
You should have worn your hot chick disguise that day and see how.
I'll have to remember that next time. I'll just grow out the hair a little longer, shave the beard. It'll all work out.
Bare Naked Ladies and Hootie and Counting Crows, you're like every VH1 VJ script I ever had to read on a project come to life and manifest in human form, John. You're like keeping it going.
I know.
You want to go see the Gin Blossoms with me when this thing wraps? Let's go.
Yes.
Practically, I think I have the same hair as their keyboardist 30 years later. So, it's gonna happen.
Wait, I've seen the Gin Blossoms live too. I saw them at Jenks.
I've seen the Gin Blossoms live. I was a VH1 VJ. I saw all these guys live.
Oh, dude. I'm so there. Gin Blossoms are actually my aunt and uncle they went there. Gin Blossoms are from Tempe, Arizona, which I'm sure you already know. But my aunt and uncle went to sister high school, so they knew them when they were like local band guys or whatever. So
very nice guys in that band.
They do seem very nice. I messaged them when I started this or whatever, and I'm trying to get them to. They want to come on But nice. It's but you're gonna laugh too though. So if you want to talk about your worst VJ list or whatever, not worst, but
no. They're all nice people. Darius Tucker married a friend of mine. Like they're all
really,
yeah.
Dude. So Gin Blossoms are gonna be coming on. Third Eye Blind and Eve 6, and my producer's like, you just have all the '90s bands on. I'm like, I'm just reliving my youth, man. I don't give a shit if they've got anything to plug or not. I just want to.
I'm trying to package the secondary sex characteristics 90 tour of Bush, Tool, and Hole all together on one stage. So that's where I'm directing my energies as well.
I appreciate that's fucking great, man. You know what's crazy too though? They're all going on tour together, and I didn't even do that on purpose. I didn't realize the Gin Blossoms I think it's the Gin Blossom's Third Eye Blonde. No, Toad the Wet Sprocket, who I did not, but I love Toad the Wet Sprocket. But yeah, they're all going on tour in 2022.
I saw that Alanis and Liz Phair and Garbage are touring together, and I'm like,
fucking
wow.
way.
Yeah, how groovy is that, right? Like,
that's incredible.
Usually these things don't measure up. I did see I saw Dylan on the Americanorama tour. It was Dylan with
nice.
with My Morning Jacket, but they weren't there that night. It was Dylan with Wilco and Beck doing an acoustic set, and it's like so nice to go to these like touring festivals and actually have it be like 3 headliners, whether it's comedians or music. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
when they pull it off.
Do you remember the first comedian that you saw live?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I count it in different ways, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it a good memory or bad memory? That was like a
well, I mean, my first comedian. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, and I worked in a regional theater as a kid, and we had a cabaret downstairs, and there used to be New York City comics who would come through, and so I'd get to see some that way.
It was Joey Cola, wasn't it?
Not Joey Cola, but I did work with Joey Cola when I first started.
I love Joey.
And then Joey Cola worked on that stand-up spotlight show on VH1, which was the first stand-up show I ever did on TV.
Yes, yeah.
And then the first show I saw in New York City as a college kid was I think at the Cellar, and William Stevenson was the MC, and he was brilliant. And years later, I got to be his friend, and that was great. But I mean, for me, it was seeing George Carlin live the first time that, like, I would say changed my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was the first time I saw him live at Westbury Music Fair that changed my life and changed the way I viewed what stand-ups could do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kelly Carlin's coming on tomorrow. I've never spoken to her before, but I'm really looking forward to it. I know you guys are friends, right? Brilliant. Yeah, she's I know her work and stuff, and obviously, but she's I'm excited about, a little intimidated, but excited about it tomorrow.
Come on, just be confident and just have fun, and
I will,
and get her to talk about what she cares about, mostly Scientology and how Dianetics can change your life. I will click right here to learn more about how you can have a pilot's license by the end. Yeah. Sorry,
I'll run that by her. Whatchamacallit, you were saying comedians and whatever, we were talking about that a little bit. Do you remember like your first paid gig, like actually like getting handed like money for the first time for doing comedy? Because I feel like some comics, you do. All right, cool. What is?
I do. I had just started, and I was doing tons of open mics all over the city, and I had like this incredible confidence for the first time in my life, and I was in love, and I went back with my girlfriend to meet her family in Northern California for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to be here for 10 days. Is there any comedy clubs in your town? And there was at the local bar and grill. They had comedy night on Saturday. And I just called the guy, and I just told him I played here, and here. Can I be your opener? And he said I could get $50, and then the real guy would come in from San Francisco, and I was like, fantastic. And so my girlfriend's parents invited all their friends. My first time meeting my girlfriend's parents invited all their friends to come see their girlfriend's odd new New York City boyfriend, the skinny pale kid, do 10 minutes of stand-up before a headliner we hope isn't too dirty. And the headliner bailed and never showed up.
Holy shit.
And I had to do a 40-minute set, and I'd only done open mics in my entire life. And they paid me like $100, and they gave me dinner. And I was eating this hamburger and fries, and I was like, wow, I just got a hamburger and fries for working. And it was a great feeling. And I did 40 minutes, and
that's incredible. That's a great fucking stand-up story. First getting paid.
Best hamburger I ever had. Best hamburger I ever had.
It's nice validation when they do it with money and food. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just a comedian thing, but when somebody else makes your food for you after you've done work and you get paid, you're like, this is the greatest. Could be sloppy, whatever it is. You're like, this is the best fucking food. Yeah.
And then after that, you go back to the comedy condo and you run a black light over the couch and you vomit up the burger. But that's a whole other story.
I had a hotel room that I stayed in, and this is before I knew you could be indignant about that kind of shit. When you're like, oh, it's just the road. Where there was a blood stain behind the bed, the bed frame or whatever. And I was like, do I say something? And the headliner was just like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you fucking say something. Just like, because I brought him in to see it. I was like, what do you think that is? He's like, I think it's a blood stain. And I think you should go remove your. He's like, well, I can't believe you stayed in this room the other night. And I was like, I don't know the rules. And he was like, the rules are, you walk downstairs. you tell the hotel, and I was like, all right. I was like, I didn't want to get fired by the club owner, and he was like, who gives a shit? Just thought it was part of the road, man.
That's what comedy taught me, is that terrible experiences make for good stories. And so,
yes,
you know, as a writer, it's like, oh, I'm not afraid of horrible things happening anymore because I know that I'll probably get something amusing out of it.
Right. Is there anybody that you wished you could have interviewed that you missed out on, that you really kind of like feel like, oh man, that would have been great, and they're just not happening now?
What do you mean, because they're dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, tons. How much time do you have? I mean, like dead from history, like Shakespeare.
No, not dead from history. I mean, like actually, like someone that was about to work out, didn't work out, and then, you know, you just missed your opportunity.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I mean, I'd really be into, like, I mean, I'm into all kinds of, you know, my dreams are, you know, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney. I mean,
really, you would have interviewed W?
Yes, I would interview.
What if? How? Let me ask you a question.
Horrible president of the last 50 years. Yes,
absolutely. How would you? I mean, you obviously would have gone hard on him or whatever, but
I wouldn't. I would be very gentle on him. I would just deal with facts and politeness.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That's a lot of restraint.
What else are you gonna do? Hate him? Then you lose. I mean, you know,
that is true.
Hate makes you stupid. You hate him back, and you look pretty stupid. But, you know, the worst thing Trump did was make Bush look good. And that's ironic, because the worst thing Bush did was make his father look good. So you look at this Republican Party. I mean, party of Lincoln. They're not even the party of Quayle anymore. I mean, you go from Eisenhower, the last one to balance a budget, to Nixon, then to Reagan, then to Bush, then to Palin, then to Trump. Like, who's going to be their next? It's going to have to be Kid Rock's hepatitis. It's going to have to be their next presidential nominee. That's the only way they can keep on this steady descent of a party.
Yeah. No, I know. Do you think we're going to have another problem with? Because I'm one of those people who prescribes to the idea that the next time there's a Trump-like figure, it's going to be one that doesn't tweet. It's going to be one that is way more clever about that kind of shit. Do you think we'll be able to be prepared to see it before it comes, or no?
That all depends on how willing people are to blackmail Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
I mean, that all depends on how willing the Democratic Party is to use coercion and blackmail and bribery to actually get voting rights passed in this country, and to make it really easy for everybody who's an American citizen to vote however they want to vote. If you can do that, it'll be a lot harder for the non-clown Trump. The best thing is, everybody who thinks that they're the smart Trump are fucking stupid. I mean, Ron DeSantis makes Trump look like Obi-Wan. You know, I mean, Matt Gaetz. Oh my God, Matt Gaetz has hit rock bottom so many times he's fracking. Like, all of these guys are morons. So, you know, I mean, Tom Cotton, he looks like a constipated pencil. They're all idiots, and it's. But yeah, there will be a smart Trump, a charismatic Trump, who this is what the essence of all fundamentalism, whether it's an Ayatollah or a smooth-talking televangelist or a racist clown with a reality show. It's very easy to flatter the people into getting your way. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, every empire has to collapse at some point. I hope our empire just doesn't look so tacky doing it. But I do have a lot of hope. I grew up during AIDS protests, and now we have marriage equality. I know. Right. I know how good America can be, and I've seen how much America can make progress when they want to. So I do have a lot of hope. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel the same way too, but like, because we were both Bernie Sanders guys at the end of the day. But do you feel the same way that, like, because I don't understand. I mean, I do, but I don't understand the idea that everything has to be a slow and gradual change towards being a decent, you know, it doesn't. I don't think so either, but I feel like that's the thing that Democrats have kind of pushed and gotten through. We can't have anybody like Bernie because people don't want to have things happen quickly. And I feel like I know, but that's exactly because the system is protecting itself, and the status quo doesn't, you know, let go of the wheel all that easily. But I mean, you know, Harry Truman, who very underrated and very overrated at the same time, but he just desegregated the military. Just boom, did it. Fuck y'all. Right. And that's how it has to happen. Yes, there will be growing pains for anything, but I mean, I just wish the millennials would hurry up and get him a single payer and fix climate change, because we're waiting on you guys. Come on, help us fix the grade, but put that down and fix all this shit that that the boomers made worse, and that Generation X was too traumatized to address. We're too busy being stoned and looking for our Doc Martens. So really, millennials, please.
Yeah, that's the I love the Gen like Gen Z is kind of weird. I know that they get shit on a lot. I'm like an elder millennial, which I didn't even know existed until I don't know, like a few months ago. I apparently that I literally somebody called me. They're like, "Oh, you're an elder millennial," and I was like, "Pardon?" But apparently
it doesn't exist. But congratulations on finding a whole new way to market to a demographic. That's all that is.
Okay, good.
Let me tell you what Generation X learned. It's all demographical harassment. Okay, wait till you hit your 30s, and then suddenly it's nostalgia time. We're gonna sell you whatever you liked 20 years ago. Believe me. In 10 years, when they're having all the teens nostalgia, you'll understand. But yeah,
man,
we have to have the Brady Bunch shoved back down our throats.
Oh my God, dude, I'm not even looking forward to it. I was just talking to my producer about it. He was asking me if I was worried about when I hit 40. And I was like, oddly enough, no. But when I was about to turn 30, I thought it was the end. I don't know why, but I had like because I thought shit was supposed to happen when you're 30. Like I thought in my, dumb 20-year-old brain, I was like, yeah, when I'm 30, that's it. Everything's going to be different. And then I got to 30 and I was like, oh, it's still the same.
Yeah. And you're doing it the wrong way. You should do it as who didn't make it past 27? Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Robert Johnson, Brian Jones, Amy Winehouse. They all died at 27. So congratulations. Your consolation prize is you get to still be here and see how much it sucks aging.
If you could do this is a great one. If you could live, my friends and I talk about this all the time. If you could actually live forever without illness, would you do it? Would you want to see how everything goes down?
Sure.
Man, me too. And people are like, absolutely not. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I want to know. I would love to see the comet fucking come, hurtling down. I'm like, oh, is this how everything goes? Like, I'd be fine with it.
I mean, I would live forever, but I would also settle for living long enough to watch angry mobs eat Mark Zuckerberg. Either one for me would be, a really fulfilling way to go out. Unfortunately, I got to leave you, Mr. Poveromo. Yeah, you do. I got to go to SiriusXM now.
Absolutely, man. And can I one more question before you go? We ask everybody
if you could other glasses where I look less like Fran Lebowitz for that show. So,
if you could give yourself one piece of advice when you were younger, something that you know now, what would it be?
Don't pass out at a frat party. No. Just really believe in yourself more. Just forget what everybody else says, and stop waiting to begin whatever it is. If you keep on waiting, you'll never start. So go for it now and deal with fear later. And the only person you're competing with is your former self. That's it. The only person you have to be better than is your former self.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
I stole that from Carlos Mencia, so I don't know who wrote it. But,
Oh, perfect. Thanks so much, man. You're a blast to talk to, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you. That's not going to happen, but I have people you can see in person for me, so that's how it works. Thank you for having me. Finally, let's do this again anytime we want to test the endurance of your viewers.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Take care. Peace.
Dystopia Tonight.